Alright, if you're still with me, then we made it to the effects section. Congratulations. So let's recap a second before we get into there, because I know this could be confusing. So in the beginning, we took our oscillator A and oscillator, well, in this case, we just use oscillator A and the sub-oscillator. We took them as our raw sound, mixed them together. Okay, we applied a little bit of modulation, both with an envelope and with an LFO, applied it to our wavetable position and our warp mode, in this case, the symmetry, to create even a more complex kind of shape. And then we went over here to our filter section, used our same shapes over here as far as the envelope shape and the LFO shape, and we applied them to, well, the resonance and then the cutoff. And we have something like this. Something pretty cool. Before we get into the effects section, and really what the effects section is going to do is start gluing all this stuff together and shining it a bit. I'm noticing, though, that we're getting, it's a little bit of a sloppy sound, right? It sounds like there's two parts of that sound to me, and I want there to be a more coherent type of a shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this LFO shape that I have controlling so many things already, and I'm going to show you a little pro tip here. I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to apply it to the level. And what this is going to do, it's actually going to take the volume and shape it. Okay, watch this. I'm going to put it on here, and it's going to bring the volume in. So if I go ahead and watch, here's another little cool thing here. If I right click this, there's a bypass modulator. So I could bypass this. So do you hear that too? Okay, now if I bring it back to where it was and unbypass it. Okay, you can see how it's just taking that shape and it's kind of just cleaning it up a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm going to do the same thing. Well, I've already done the same thing to my sub over here, and I'm going to apply that as, there we go. And that's going to take the shape of the entire sound now. Wonderful. So now that we kind of I like the way this is working over here, sounding good. Let's just take your attention down here to this voicing section. We'll get into all these things more as we make more sounds. But this is a monophonic instrument, right? It's a bass sound. We're never going to play more than one of these at the time. So let's go ahead and just hit that on mono. What it's going to do is just make our computers run a little bit better. Awesome. Let's go over to that effects section now and see if we can shine this up a little bit. All right, if we're heading over to the effects section, we're going to finally move away from our front page GUI here. All right, so up here, again, you'll see all your little sections here, right? And again, we'll cover them respectively. I'm going to jump over to the effects section now. So we've got all the stuff that we've made here running on our oscillator page. Okay, over in our effects section, you're going to see we have a number of different effects here. All right, let's briefly talk about what they do, and as we make more sounds, we'll specifically show you how they could be used to actually generate specific sounds, if that makes sense. Cool. So over here, remember how we had the unison mode? And if we decided to use it, it would add a unison to this oscillator or whatever oscillator we applied it to. Well, this guy right here, this is a dual thing. So this is actually two effects in one. The hyper is going to add a unison to the whole sound. It's going to do it through like an algorithm, right? Because it's not actually adding a copy of the waveform. It's adding a copy of the whole sound. So, you know, you could use that, but use it with care, because if you're already adding unisono over here, you know, maybe you don't want to double it. Maybe you do. Who knows, right? So let's see what that sounds like. Let's turn it off. Turn these guys down so we're just listening for this guy. You can hear how it gets a little bit wider, just like you would expect. And just like we have the detune knob, we have a detune knob here. You could see it's the same as over here. If I add two unisons, then, but on the detune knob here, it's quite visual, where I can see what's going on. Where over here, it just has a detune knob. So, you know, maybe you can calibrate your eyes from beginning to the other way. Turn that right down a bit. I like that overall. It's nice. There's a lot of movement to it. A lot of space. Now check this out. What if I liked it, but I didn't like it just sitting there like that? Well, you have already guessed it. We could take maybe this guy and apply it to the mix knob here, and then it's going to kind of mix that in, which is really nice. So you get the effect, but then it comes right back out. Dimension expander is just another way to add width to your sound. We kind of used it here, so maybe we won't use it right there. Cool. So distortion, just a distortion module. You're going to have a bunch of different types of distortion in here. Let's just start off with the tube, and I'm going to apply a little bit of mix to it. Maybe I'll add a little more drive. And to me, it's filling in the sound, right? Without it, there could be this hole in the middle, maybe. With it, it kind of fills it in there. I like that. Now we've got flanger, chorus, and phaser. These three are all going to be kind of like time-based effects, right? They're going to add more width and more digitalness to our sound, right? I usually just pick one if I use one. Let's use the chorus for the sake of this particular sound. Usually I wouldn't use more than one, but you might if you're getting crazy on your sound design. So let's hear what this sounds like. Right away, I want to put it into BPM mode, okay? So now I can go ahead, and if I know I'm setting this to about a quarter note here, I could set this guy to a quarter note too. And that's a good place to start. Let's dial in some of this stuff. That's really cool. So let's get that going for sure. Yeah. Wow. And I want to put a little bit on that too, I think. That's nice. Cool. Great. So we're adding a little bit of, again, more character, more color to our sound. Delay, let's skip that this time. We'll come back to that one. There are cool effects that we could use with that, and more than just delaying the sound. Well, maybe not on this particular sound. This is a good little rule, by the way. You don't have to use, less is more, right? You don't have to use every effect on a particular sound and spread them out, and that's what's going to give you good diversity. So let's go over here and turn on my compressor. Now right away, the thing that I usually do right away is if I turn this multiband mode on, this acts as an OTT, or an over-the-top compressor. Okay, let's listen to what that sounds like. Now it's going to be way too much. Right, without it, yeah, where did my sound go, right? It sounds like it's crushed my sound. Maybe, but once we dial it in, it's going to really even everything out. That's nice. But let's go ahead and pull, first of all, let's just pull some volume back. So right away, you could hear how it's compressed, right? But now what's really cool here is I can move these guys around. So I could kind of decide what I want and what I don't want. Remember, we have our sub right here. So I don't really need this low stuff, do I? Not really. Okay, and now I can kind of dial in like, oh, do I think I want more mids? Or less mids? Or more highs? Less highs. So let's listen and see what we got. Wow, that's without it. That was just 2 seconds ago. We thought that sounded good. There it is. Kind of watch that red there, looking good. And then, as a little bit of a, like I said, remember before I said there might be one other spot that we can add a type of a filter? Well, I know that you're looking at this filter one right here thinking that's the one. And obviously you could do that. But the kind of the little Easter egg is going to be over here at this EQ. Now, with a little bit of fidgeting, you think that, I mean, you could just use it as an EQ, kind of like to shine your end result here. Maybe just add a little bit of high and I don't know, whatever, right? But we kind of did that already with this. If we wanted more highs or mids, we could have done it right here, right? But over here, check this out. Watch this. This is pretty cool. I'm going to take, again, the same LFO. I'm going to apply it to the frequency here, right? And I know you don't really see anything happening yet, but what if we picked this little peak guy here, right? And then I increased the volume. Now we can move it around, can't we? Well, what if I... That's nice. That sounds pretty cool. Let's see if we can get one going the other way on this side. This is something I like to do an awful lot. So let's go over here and maybe go the other way. If we go. Kind of just find the spot. Nice. Hold on, I want to kind of get a little... Nice. All right. Now that we've kind of dialed the sound in, I'm noticing that there's a little bit of a click in the sound. And that's because we're... See, when we let up our finger, it's just stopping anywhere, right? It's just stopping, and we're hearing that sudden stop as a click. The click's not really in the sound. The click's in the release. So let's make this so we could actually like use it, right? So let's go ahead and I'm gonna open this shape up a little bit, and what I'm gonna do is, since we're not gonna make this like, this isn't gonna be like a wub 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 bass, right? We're not gonna. That's not how we're going to use it. We're going to use this as a one-shot more. So I'm going to keep the same shape, but put it into envelope mode. There we go. So there we go. So now it'll close right out. And remember that the smooth knob here? Cool. Just remember I said that it was in the release of the sound. Well, sometimes if you just open up that attack or that release just a little bit, a couple of milliseconds, you don't hear that click anymore. Great. So we've made a pretty cool sound here. All right, we've combined a lot of things from the oscillator page over here into the effects page. So now let's go ahead and save it. What we're going to want to do is going to click right into here. And this is going to take us into a bunch of our, wherever we save our sounds. And we're going to make a new folder, and we're going to call it Evenant. Okay? And what we're going to do is say create, and then we're going to make a new folder inside of Evenant, and we're going to say basses. Okay, or just bass. That's fine. And here we're going to call this, I don't know, let's see. What could we call this guy? Well, I'll tell you what, we'll call it, Bass 1. For lack of a more original name. Great. So we save that right there. Boom. And then guess what? You'll have this bass will be able to be called up whenever you want to use it. Okay. Well, that kind of sums up our Serum intro. We made a fun little bass, but no worries. We're going to be making lots more sounds, and not just basses either. We're going to be making a full range of really all the sounds you're going to need throughout your cinematic journey. All right. See you there.